Good evening. In previous class, we will see on the function declarations. Next, in this class, we will see on the category of functions. So, what are all the categories available in the function? See one by one. First, a function depending on whether arguments are present or not, and whether a value is returned or not. Based on these two categories, the functions will be categorized as in five types. First one is the functions with no arguments and no return value. So no arguments and no return value. The second category is functions with the arguments and no return values. So some arguments are there, there is no return value. And third category is functions with arguments and one return value. So having some arguments and only one return value. For example, 4 to 5 arguments are there, but the return is only one value is returned. And the fourth category is functions with no argument but return value. This is no arguments are there, but the return value is there. And the fifth category, functions that return multiple values. These are the some categories of functions. Next, we will see on the one by one categories. First, we will see on the no arguments and no return values. When a function has no arguments, it does not receive any data from the calling function. No arguments means there is no passing prototypes or arguments parameters are there. Similarly, when does not return a value, in previous no arguments are there means there is no return value also there. The calling function does not receive any data from the called function. In the effect, there is no data transfer between the calling function and the called function. This is represented as an picture format. First one, function 1 and function 2 is there. In function 1 there is no argument, in likewise there is no arguments present in the function 2 also. So there is no connections between the data arguments, so there is no return value. The dotted lines indicates that there is only a transfer of control, but not data is received. So the dotted line represent the transfer of functions from one function to another function. And the second one is arguments but no return values. So there are some arguments are there, but there is no return value. Is the actual and formal argument should match in number, type, and in order. The values of actual arguments are assigned to the formal arguments. This is first function, there is no parameter, but in second function there is one parameter is there. That value is passed to the function main function, and then called function also there. There is one parameter and there is no return values here not mentioned. And then arguments with return values. So some arguments are there with return value. This is two-way data communication. And no arguments but return values are there. There could be a question where we may need to design functions that may not take any arguments but returns a value to the calling function. A typical example is getCharacter function declared as in the getter file, and that is studio.stdio.h. We have used this function earlier in a number of places. The getCharacter function has no parameters, but it returns a integer type data that represents a character. we can design similar functions and use in our programs. This is the some example of no arguments and but written values. Thank you.